How is it after doing the Big Dog Joe Rogan podcast, going to all the little podcasts after that?
I love it.
Is it
It's good,
feel the
man.
same, or
yeah,
was it?
It's no different.
Yeah,
It's,
nice.
Yeah, it's that podcast though, that like made me have to really dive in.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, and figure some stuff out.
It went from I've got the solution for shooting a bow to I've got the solution for everything, and I
Yeah,
didn't even realize it.
right. Yeah,
Right.
It was good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we got Joel Turner on the podcast today. Fortunately, thank you for driving down.
Yeah.
It was like a total last minute thing.
Yeah, well, I had to bring you
appreciative.
that release, man.
That was great. We're gonna jump right into target panic. If you're down,
Might as well.
We did a pod. Me and Zach did a podcast earlier today, and there's always questions about the target panic, right?
Oh yeah.
Jared's so happy right now.
Oh, I love it. I love all this stuff. Well, so here,
This is like Jared's like kid in a candy shop podcast episode.
well, it's trying to explain this to people. I am not as good at it as you. I've been the beneficiary of everything that you figured out, and it's the foundation. I've told you before. It's the foundation of my archery shooting, my gun shooting. Right? Like, I'm very comfortable with float because of it, as Zach is as well. And that's what I'm with the precision rifle. I'm always trying to get more stable, but I'm okay with the float, right? Because I know what's going to happen because I shoot a bow so much.
Right.
And my first question, I'd really like you to help us out with archery. Target panic's a commonly discussed term, right? With rifles, there's not even a term for it. It's to me, it's still target panic.
Sure.
But they don't recognize it.
Right.
And they think if they get there, they do all these cheating things. They make their reticles stop moving, and then they just hammer off the trigger. And what's your experience been with rifle or firearms shooters? Because it explain to them what target panic is and how to get them to be aware that it's a problem that needs to be fixed.
Yeah. So target panic is just a term that came up with in the archery world. Who knows when? Because it was always. It's just shot anticipation. It's the core problem in shooting. Your subconscious mind will not allow you to cause your body impact as a surprise. Just take that as it will. If it can time the explosion of whatever the weapon system, it will time the explosion. And it will keep you safe. That's what its job is, right? The subconscious is built to keep you safe. It doesn't want you to jump off the cliff. That's why it's like, I don't think we should be doing this, right?
Yeah.
But in shooting, our mind is not built for shooting at all, because you're having to literally consciously override your central nervous system over and over and over. Your subconscious hates it, but consciously you enjoy shooting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But your subconscious is like, why are we doing this? So that term of target panic is decades, centuries, whatever, old. And even when you look at old archery texts, like there's a culture out there that deals with archery as one of their 4 pillars of their religion. One of the pillars is archery. And when you read, they're working off of a 13th century book. They call it a text or a treatise. And in that, it talks about the arrow is not ready to be loosed until the point touches the knuckle. It's a mechanoreceptive trigger. It's the same thing as a clicker that we use in the Olympics today.
Interesting.
Right? So the humans have always been trying to figure out how to get calm in the middle, right? Because your subconscious never has wanted to be there, because being in the middle has always equaled the explosion. So when I'm coming up through the ranks of SWAT and getting thrown on the sniper crew and knowing that it wasn't going to go very well, and then I'm a firearms instructor, then I'm the lead firearms instructor for Washington State. I'm like, I got to figure this out, because all I'd ever heard out of most firearms instructors was them yelling front sight, front sight, front sight, which for gunfighting and close and fast stuff, which most gunfights are, that's exactly where you need to put your conscious mind. But they were trying to use that same remedy for precision work. And it didn't work out, because you are 25 yards away with your pistol, and you're like, yep, I'm aiming right in the middle. But then you go yanking on that trigger, because that's what your subconscious is going to do, right? Based on the science of open and closed loop control systems, it's going to yank the trigger, And those pre-ignition movements, those flinching movements, get linked to the trigger motor program. And for some reason, people didn't figure that out. And they just kept yelling front sight, front sight, front sight forever. There was some good instructors out there that would talk you through a trigger press. But is that real in a gunfight? Are you going to actually shoot that slowly when you're 5 feet from somebody and you're like, holy smokes, I got to shoot this person?
I'm yanking that
Yeah,
thing hard.
of course you are, because
yeah.
that's what's required for that environment. Otherwise, you're going to be Swiss cheese, right?
Yeah,
you're not
yeah,
going to
yeah.
pull that pistol out and go, keep pressing, keep pressing, keep pressing while they're stabbing you. You know what I mean? It just, that's not reality. So it's always, we've been trying to figure this stuff out, and now you go into the precision rifle world, and you see all the mechanical fixes to the mental problems,
Yep,
right? I
yep.
mean, why are guys shooting such heavy rifles?
Yep.
To try to slow that reticle down, and then they lighten their trigger down to ounces
Yep.
so that they can still go open loop on the trigger, but it's so minute that the pre-ignition movements that get linked to it are not quite as big, and it keeps you in that plate at 1,000 yards or whatever your target is, right? So in firearms, there's been all these mechanical fixes, and they work great, right? But can you do that? Can you work your shot on your grandpa's deer rifle, right? On the old 30-30, if you go open loop on that trigger, well, it's got lots of creep and travel and all kinds of nastiness. So your pre-ignition movements are going to be bigger, and you're going to deviate the point of impact.
Yep.
It's not going to hit in the middle anymore.
For sure.
So what we've done at Shot IQ is I understand all the systems, or virtually all the systems. Obviously, there's things I don't know about, but I want you to be able to control any weapon system you come upon. Anything, anybody. I mean, if you got to pick up the bad guy's pistol and shoot a 50-yard shot with it, it's doable, right? If you pick up a recurve bow or somebody else's bow or compound or whatever it is, somebody else's release because you lost yours, and now you got to shoot your buddy's release. Cool.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yep.
Right? That should not be a problem. You should be able to control it all because you know the mental game of shot control, and we'll get into that. But this target panic thing, it's easy to show people in firearms. Just hand them a gun that's not loaded and tell them it's loaded and tell them it's going to kick the crap out of them and make them shoot standing unsupported. And you'll see it all, right? You'll see that kink, that big old flinch.
Oh, yeah.
Like, well, there it was, right? It's so easy to show, and it's even easier when if the target is moving, right? Because if the target is moving, you have to go open loop on the trigger. Open loop being faster than you can gain feedback within it. Closed loop is slow enough you could stop it anywhere within it. To go closed loop on a trigger for a movement that's going to cause an explosion requires a conscious override of the central nervous system. That's what we do. That's what I teach people, is how to actually do that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what I see with firearms guys a lot of the time, so there's like accepted fundamentals like pinning the trigger.
Sure.
Right. Like it's, and to me, when I see you pinning the trigger, it just tells me that you've thought about your thought process or your shot process normally.
Okay.
Just like when I watch guys shooting, because a lot of guys, their natural way when they're commanding the trigger, they and the triggers, their fingers off the trigger before the bullets left the barrel even, right? They're even if they're like, they're making the illusion that they're applying a controlled shot or executing a controlled shot, but then they go now and it's like that. It tells me that they probably haven't thought through their shot process. Okay.
Yeah.
But then there's other guys that they pin the trigger and they're given the illusion that they have a good shot process mentally, right? Like, but then as soon as you put them under pressure, it all goes away.
Right.
Their finger will be in the front of the trigger guard and straight through to the back of the trigger, right? Like right now, it's gonna go, and they're either whatever it is, same thing, right? So it's like, okay, you actually don't have a shot process,
Right.
and it's guys take an offense to it. Like flinch is like a curse word.
Oh yeah,
right? It's a word, and it's like, dude, and I reference you constantly. It's pre-ignition movements, man. You don't have a choice. Like it's gonna happen if you're commanding the shot. You're going to move.
As soon as you go open loop, as soon as you let the subconscious time that trigger work for you, that's just how it works, man.
Yeah.
It's not my opinion. It's not your opinion.
Yep.
your subconscious is going to brace you for impact.
Yep.
I mean, it's just the way it is. So, you can either accept that or not. And people, they do. They sometimes take offense to it.
Big time.
Yeah.
Man. Especially like I train a lot of guys and they want to get better with the rifle. They want to be better for hunting.
Yeah.
But they've been hunting. Their dad taught them when they're 8 years old and they're 20 years older than me. And they don't like what I have to say. They want to get better, but they don't want to undo what they, right. So it's like trying, I've been trying to like figure out this, and target panic's just a word that you hear amongst archers. And I've been trying to figure out this way to, especially for just hunters that want to get better with their rifle, trying to convince them that target panic or whatever it is, shot anticipation is a thing, and that they have it, and that they need to fix it.
Yeah, and they're it's something. It's not a disease.
Yeah.
It's something that you're born with.
Yeah.
Like if you clap your hands over a baby's face, right? Baby's laying in the crib, you'll see a little. That's shot anticipation.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
As not the first time, but the second time for sure. Like I've told this story a million times. I remember the first time I torched off a 30-30. I was 5 years old. I was shooting at a Rainier beer can on Mineral Creek. And I pulled that thing up, and Dad told me to cock the hammer back. Called me Shorty, right? He's like, Shorty, just cock the hammer back. And he said, press that trigger slow. I'm like, okay, Dad. And I remember I'm holding on to the thing, and it's too heavy for me. I'm 5 years old. I'm not big. And I remember just squeezing that trigger so slow. Booyah, that thing goes off. I'm like, oh, my God, I'm a man now, right? He's like, well, work that lever. So I racked that thing, and the brass goes flying out, and I racked another one in, and it was already cocked. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And the next time I torched that thing off, I guarantee you I closed my eyes and yanked the trigger. And that started this life of frustration. And I mean, like literally, that's how we grew up, right? Yep. That's not the way people grow up now because the information's out there if they choose to accept it. Yep. I see kids, so many kids in these archery tournaments are just pounding the crap out of a trigger. And then the coach will go, well, you need to hold your shoulder like this or whatever. I'm like, that ain't the problem. It don't matter what you do in your form if you punch the trigger. It doesn't matter. They don't even get their pin on the target. And so it's pretty frustrating, but that's the way we grew up because we didn't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't even know what the problem was. And I didn't know what the problem was. When I, first got on the sniper crew and became a firearms instructor, I was yelling front sight as well. Yeah. And then I'm like, man, I don't think aiming's the problem here, right?
Yeah.
Like I can shoot fine up close, but man, you put me out at 25 yards with my pistol, and I'm worthless. And just about every other cop I knew was worthless out at 25 yards. So I'm like, man, we got to figure this out. And then I started, I had that one aha moment where I'm talking that recruit through a trigger press. I mean, they were literally bouncing bullets off the floor. The target was at 20. His bullets were hitting the floor at 15.
Wow.
I'm like, holy smokes, guy. I mean, nervous Nelly, but who am I? I was 27 when I first became a firearm instructor. I'm 27 years old, and I'm teaching, 40-year-olds that, have way more life experience than I have. And this guy was just kind of a nervous Nelly. And he's up there just whacking on that trigger, closing his eyes, doing the whole thing. And I'm like, man, how am I going to fix this? So that's when I got on the driver's side of his pistol, and I said, okay, I want you to, it was shooting a Glock. I said, press the trigger to the pressure wall. Do not make the gun go off. He's like, oh, yes, sir. So he pressed to the pressure. I'm like, okay, good. I'm like, now start pressing the trigger super slow. Don't make the gun go off. He's like, okay. So as soon as I saw that first little movement, I started talking him through it. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's good. That's it. Yep, stay in that. Keep pressing, keep pressing, keep pressing. And I can see his fingers moving in the exact rate that I'm talking. Pow, the round goes off finally. Goes right through the 10 ring. He says, sir, that scared me. I'm like, yeah, it's supposed to.
Nice.
Right? It's supposed to be a surprise break.
Yeah.
And then I got him to talk me through the shot. And interesting thing about it was this is in 2003. And I'm talking him through this and all this stuff. And then I had him talk me through it. And I didn't realize how important that was. Like in your shooting instruction now, when you're teaching these guys, are you having them talk out loud?
I trained a guy yesterday, and I have a breathing. The way I breathe when I'm on a precision rifle, my breathing is my shot process.
Yep.
That's just how I
Mine
do it.
as well.
But that for him yesterday, it was not working. Lifelong hunter, Dennis, just retired. He's bought a sick elk hunt, and he's like, dude, I can't shoot past 200 yards.
Okay.
And I'm watching, and he's like, and we're just shooting my 223, the same one that you shot at 300 yards. That great rifle, right? Well, he's like bracing, and like his shoulder was just like bearing down, and then his grip was what is he doing? Oh, his fingers. I was watching all the blood come out of his fingers. He's just squeezing, right? So I told him, I was like, well, let's say relax. I was like, just like talk yourself through it as you're like getting ready. Relax, grip, and then squeeze, I think is what I told him. It's just like just talking himself through.
But did you have him say that?
No, he was saying it.
Okay.
I had him every single shot he shot yesterday. I made him say it.
And that's what, early on, that's the way it went. I would talk you through a shot, then you would teach me how you do what you do.
Nice.
But the problem was I didn't realize that was so key. And for years, I didn't do that anymore. Like I would talk them through, and I'm like, okay, you need to talk yourself through it. And like, oh, yeah, I'm doing it. But I would still see the punching of the trigger. I'm like, are you really doing it?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah. But I wouldn't check.
By having them talk.
Yeah, bad on me, because that's how it all started. And now we've come full circle again, and now it's all commentary shooting.
Nice.
Like you are teaching me how you do what you do, because that gives me as the instructor the direct link into where you're putting your conscious mind and when you're putting it there. And that's why it's so key for
We
that.
need a Bodie Miller mic'd up.
Yeah.
Okay. Just talking through the whole match.
Right. And so now it's like commentary shooting. Like, what's it sound like when you shoot an arrow? For me, it's like, okay, I'm drawing back and aiming. Pins in the middle. Got it. All right, now I'm going to address the trigger. A little bit of pressure to the click. Click. Okay, got it. Here I go. I'm going to increase my presence, right? Making a decision. Here I go. Okay, easy now, just a little bit. That's it. Yep, stay in that. That's good. Squeeze. Boom, until it goes off. And another key component of that commentary shooting is the little speech. Because when I was talking that kid through that first trigger press, when I had my light bulb moment, he started, and I could see the blood start to leave the capillary beds, right? That white spot started. And it started to grow on his finger. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's it. Yeah, easy now. Oh, easy. Stay in that. That's good. All that little speech gets the movement started. Then you can go into whatever your breath is or your verbiage or whatever it may be, right? It's that all those little affirmations to get it going.
Nice.
Because it doesn't want to go, right? You can't just get in there, okay, I'm on it. There it is. Squeeze. Because it doesn't start out at the right. I mean, your initial pressure increase is just to set the speed limit, not to make it go off.
Gotcha.
Right? So the little speech in there is of utmost importance. And it's just all the stuff that I used to do but didn't realize how I did what I did. And that is the problem. That is where I've gone with all of my instruction, whether I'm talking to a sales team, a professional baseball team, or a shooter. I'm like, how do you do what you do? Explain how you do what you do. And very few people can do that. Well, I do this and this and this. That's what you do. I want to know how you do it, right? Have you heard the ultimate skill speech?
I believe it's the getting loud in your own
Yeah,
mind. Is
right.
that-
So
yeah.
I ask this all the time, and I don't think that, have you
I don't think it
have you
was-
heard the ultimate skill speech?
I don't think so.
So this is my favorite question to ask anybody. Like, Zach, you've done a lot of cool stuff in your life. You've overridden your central nervous system a lot.
Yeah.
Right? With all your skiing, your shooting, whatever you do. If you were able to give me the one skill that's gotten you through everything, the one life skill that has gotten you through every stressful situation, what is that one life skill?
Can you give me some examples of life skills so that
I can't.
okay.
This is something that you've got to figure out for yourself. What's the one thing? If you said, Turner, if you could just do this one thing, you would be successful in anything that you want.
I mean, I'd have to say just work ethic
Okay.
would be like without that,
Right.
at least success. Maybe there's like a temporarily, like I got lucky and that was successful and
Mhm.
that worked, but
Mhm.
overall work ethic.
Okay. So work ethic, that's a great answer, but it's not a skill.
Mhm.
Because if I can ask you how did you get your work ethic, Zach?
It would, yeah. Well, I'm sure that it was instilled in me by my parents through repetition
But you just
to
told me,
create a mental, determination, mental determination.
how do you get determined?
You would set a goal and you would execute a process to try to achieve the goal and see what the result was. And
You
then
see
you
how-
would do it again and
see
you'd
how
repeat it.
It's difficult to explain
Yeah.
when you're asked how you do what you do because you've probably never been asked the right question. So if you're standing there on the top of, like, did you do heli skiing or any of that stuff?
No, but we did backcountry skiing.
Okay,
and
so you did
whatever the most
like-
advanced stuff at the resort is.
Right.
You're definitely standing over some
Yeah,
stuff.
you're
or
standing over that
about to hit a
thing.
cliff and you're like, "Ah."
Yeah. How did you get yourself to go?
I accepted in my head that I had the capabilities to perform the task that I wanted to perform.
How did you do that?
And then I don't know how I could tell you that I like overcame the like body urge
Right.
to not
So
do it,
you
but
li- you-
I just did.
You had to do it, right? You had to override your central nervous system. And when I ask people a question, what's this one life skill that gets you through everything? Work ethic is a great answer, but how did you get this work ethic? Yes, it was instilled through your parents and all these things. But when you have this task in front of you, how do you get it started? Right? And even an example of it is, how do you get out of bed every day? Right? So the ultimate skill of the human being, the one thing that gets us all through everything, is the ability to get loud in your head with the right words at the right moment. That's how you got yourself to go off the cliff,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
That's how you did it. So if we know that's the ultimate skill, now we start to use our skiing, we start to use our baseball game, we start to use our shooting to strengthen that skill. So when you had that guy say, relax, grip, squeeze, that's the blueprint. That's how you did it. That's how you got him to put his conscious mind in relaxation and then in his grip and then in squeeze. It's all through speech, getting loud with the right words and the right moment. So that's what you're doing with a shooter. That's what you're doing with a skier. That's what I do with Major League Baseball pitchers, whatever. I'm getting them to blueprint how they do what they do. Because I've never had anybody explain it to me. Right?
Yeah.
That's the how. That's the ultimate skill. That's how you got your work ethic. When you got that, you're like, okay, let's get it done. It's not you getting it done that's the skill. It's you saying, let's get it done. That's the skill. That's what starts. That's the impetus for everything.
It's how good are you at talking to yourself in your head, I guess.
That is, right? So those that are successful, those people that never go, right? Or never actually override the trigger, as compared to the people that do, that you got yourself down that slope or you got that perfect trigger break. Successful people are the loudest in their head. And through experience, they've got the right words for the right moments. So it just so happens in shooting, we know what those are, right? Through all of our scientific research on how the brain works and how it does not want to shoot stuff, right? We know how to get you past those things. And the little speech that I was talking about, key component to that, right? Because your mind's like, I don't want to. It just wants to yank that sucker.
And will you say what is the little speech again?
The little speeches, those little affirmations, they're like, okay, so you get your aim done. You get your finger on the trigger. You get this, safety's off. Everything is going. You say, here I go. That increases your presence so that your trigger work is the only thing in your world, right? And then the little speech comes. All right, easy now, just a little bit. Okay, that's it. Yeah, stay in that squeeze. So you get it started, right? You get the pressure increase going. And that's what's so tough if you've got your trigger at 4 ounces. Because you can't feel any of that, right? Now, maybe you can. And I'm seeing some people now, maybe you can explain this to me. they've got the trigger and they've got the very point of the trigger, and they're putting the point of that in the, they're actually writing on the bottom of the trigger guard, and they've got the point of the trigger in there. That's all just, I think, just trying to get some feedback with that super light trigger. But that's why I like 1.5 pounds, right? That's 2 pounds, somewhere in there, so that I can, okay, come on, easy now. For me, I do a audible exhale, right? So that's what guides my trigger.
You'll hear me in every one of my videos, my very intentional breathing.
Yeah.
And like I run the bolt and I'm exhaling as I'm coming onto the trigger.
Sure.
And that's just my process.
Yep.
And but that, to me, that's my little talk, I think.
Yeah, it is.
And it's
very easy to meter that, right? That audible exhale, you can feel it. It's a vibration you can feel in the back of your throat. It's perfect for just working through triggers. It's great. It's difficult in archery, though, because you're losing pressure.
Yeah.
Right?
For people that don't have this in their heads yet, wouldn't you say that you could talk to yourself in your head by seeing something, or like visually talking to yourself? Like when I shoot the rifle, I'm not like build pressure, like squeeze more. I almost see it on a chart,
Yeah.
I know where like I am like tracking where I'm at, just in my head, I'm not saying anything, but like I'm visually kind of like comprehending, like
that's
as my breath's coming out, like my pressure's built,
Yep. Some people see a dial, right? But that's later. You have to have, you don't have to. I shouldn't say it like that.
For sure.
But that's a skill later. Like
Once you built process,
I don't have to talk myself through a shot anymore. Bodie doesn't have to talk himself through a shot anymore, unless it's extreme stress. When it's extreme stress, all you've done with these words is you pack them away in the toolbox, right? And when it's like, holy smokes, and you feel that little, oh gosh, right? Then you can dig in the toolbox. Or if you're having a problem, you're working through a trigger press, wind blows you off, whatever. Like, I give an example of Bodie at Lancaster in 24, and he was slamming the 12 ring one after another, and he finally got in the final match, and he only had to shoot an 11 on this. He wasn't shooting for a 12 ring, but he noticed that he drew his bow back. He said on that particular shot, aim was pretty good, right? Then he worked to the click. Everything was good. And then he noticed that his hand was shaking. His release hand was shaking, right? So that gets us into the concept of thoughts aren't thinking. Thoughts are what you hear. Thinking is what you say. Thoughts have no instruction. Thoughts have no strategy. Thoughts cannot solve a problem. So him thinking about, oh my God, my hand is shaking. That has no instruction. That has no strategy. Therefore, it is a thought, but it's getting loud, right? You have no control over the volume of your thoughts. Like, oh my God, I think that bull's 400 inches. That has nothing to do with your shot process, right? So there he is, one of the highest stress tournaments there is, and his release hand is shaking. He recognizes that as the problem. He recognizes that the volume of his thoughts are louder than the volume of his thinking. So he knows to get in his toolbox and pull out the word squeeze, because he wasn't saying that. He was saying, oh my God, my hand is shaking, right? So you got to figure out, and you got to become more aware, self-aware of when your thoughts get louder than your thinking, right? Like when your thoughts get louder than you seeing the pressure increase, right? But that pressure increase and seeing that, when people want to get to that level, have you ever actually seen your trigger press? Have you ever actually taken a rifle and looked at it and watched yourself work through a trigger? Boom, rifle goes off, obviously pointing in a safe direction, because people talk about visualization all the time, but they've never seen the thing that they're trying to, because we see visualization in archery. Oh, the mystical flight of the arrow going right behind the shoulder is perfect, right? Yeah. That's none of your business. What you need to watch is your trigger movement. So I have people draw their bow back, make sure they're going to hit the bail at a very close range. And then I have them watch themselves and talk themselves through a trigger press. Bow, thing breaks as a surprise. Like, oh, now their mind's eye gets to see what it feels like. I know it's a weird statement, but it gets to see this actual pressure. It gets to see the blood leaving the capillary beds. Yeah. And when you have seen that and you have talked to it, you can get to your level much faster because you know actually what you need to visualize.
Yeah.
Right. You're not trying to see the vapor trail, the bullet going in the X. That's none of your business, right? It's seeing that pressure increase and the blood leave the capillary beds, all that stuff.
Wouldn't you say that plus seeing the result from that would be beneficial though? Like, I'm going to work through if I'm out bow hunting elk, I'm going to work through a process. I'm going to visualize a scenario. Bull's here. I'm going to stalk down. I'm going to go through all my little steps. I'm going to try to put a lot of detail into it, which I'm sure you've done it. It takes a while.
Sure.
You're like, geez, going to get to the shot already.
Right.
But don't you think that, like, yes, obviously drawing back, going through my process, breaking a clean shot, but don't you think there's some benefit, maybe not the ultimate benefit, but to like seeing the arrow or seeing the bullet hit the steel for like positive reinforcement of like your skill set and like your self-perception of
For sure.
what my skills result as an outcome?
As long as you visualize how you got there first, right?
Yep.
Of course, it'll get to the point where I know that if I see the blood leaving the capillary beds and I'm feeling all that stuff, all you've done is made yourself way more aware of this, right? And then why wouldn't it hit the middle? That's where you got to get to. No mystery anymore. No mystery in your shot. I know that I'm going to get in a certain position on a stage. I know I'm going to get in this position. I know I'm going to rack that bolt forward. I know the safety's going to be off. I know I'm going to put my finger on the trigger, and I know I'm going to talk myself through that trigger press. Pow, ding. You know it impacted before you even hear it. And I see that all the time. Guys are going to the next target, and they're yelling, impact, and they're already on the next one. The good ones, that's what they're doing. They know. Like, if they missed, it would be a complete surprise to them.
Yeah.
Like some type of environmental factor that they didn't factor in or whatever. But as far as the trigger press goes, they know it's good. Yeah. And seeing that result, sure, that will just compound that, will make it so much better, understanding that the only way that I'm going to hit that is if I'm perfect here.
How, at the highest level of your training, how do you recommend people get, like, obviously we go shoot matches or find certain ways to train with our bows before we actually go hunting, but how do you recommend people get experience in the hard situations where the process is really tested?
Right.
Before it's the moment of truth or the end of a big tournament.
In the rifle world, it's your matches. Mm-hmm. In the archer world, it's indoor archery.
Yep.
Indoor archery specifically because accuracy, there are no environmental factors. It's you and a very small target. It's 100% accuracy, and you have to do it over and over and over again. And understanding what that does to your body, like what are the physiological changes that happen to you on your first scored round in a match or my first scored arrow at Vegas. I know I shake like a dog crapping tacks. Yeah. Right? I mean, my sight picture looks completely different. I'm like, holy, and it used to affect me like, oh my gosh, my arm is shaking like crazy. My legs feel weak. Those are all thoughts. So the volume of my thoughts was very loud. So what did I do? I practice the solution of the problem that I know is coming. Like if I know I shake, then in my practice ends at Vegas, I shoot on 1 foot because then I get to see this huge aim, right? I mean, I'm shaking all over the place. I got to put my foot down a couple times, whatever. I don't even care if I hit the next person's target in the practice ends. Yeah. I don't care. I know that I'm going to shake more than normal, more than just a regular old practice shot in my backyard. I know I'm going to shake more. So why don't I practice seeing this huge aim and going, I don't care about that. I'm staying back here, right? Why don't I use those practice ends to practice the ultimate skill of a human being, which is getting loud in your head with the right words at the right moment. Because you got to pull it out of balance. You got to pull it out of the aim. You got to pull it out of the fact that everybody's watching you and wondering, what the hell are you doing, Turner? Right? So that's what I do. I know the problem that's coming. And it has helped me so much shooting indoor archery specifically right next to other people. I mean, there's hundreds of people online in Vegas or Lancaster. Now when a bull's coming in, it's very like, I know I'm going to draw back and aim.
Yep.
I know I'm going to tension up. I know I'm going to say, here I go. Then I know I'm going to work through my trigger. There's no mystery anymore. And that's very calming. Knowing how you do what you do is the most calming thing that I can ever give to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing I love to get a little read on people's mental state when they're, oh, I hate shooting in the wind, or I don't shoot my bow in the wind, or oh, it's windy today. And it's like, I mean, I don't want to practice in the heavy wind every single day because it's just not fun after a long time, but I like it when the wind's blowing.
Absolutely.
Like if you can do it then, you can do it when the wind's not blowing.
Absolutely. And don't worry so much about where you're hitting.
Mm-hmm.
Work through the trigger in high wind when you're blowing all over the place. Like, well, there's nothing I could do on that one. Now, you get in a tournament with high wind, and that's where maybe you have to go open loop on the trigger a little bit.
Mm.
That's what's required for that particular environment. And, you know, people are like, well, Turner, you're all precision, but that's not the way it is. I'm like, I understand that. Like, I've been shot at plenty. Like, I understand there are moments when you have to go open loop, but you got to change the mental game. Like, if I was to ask you, what's the mental game of skiing? What would be your answer?
I'd say that it would, at the end of the day, be self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
It's seeing a line. It's seeing the next turn.
Okay.
Where I want to travel through. If I'm in the park, jumping, it'd be self-talk of what I'm about to do as far as my process to achieve the outcome.
Okay.
Like it's really the same as anything, probably.
Right. So that's one of the best explanations I've heard yet when I ask somebody what's the mental game. Because when I went on the Rogan podcast, I did not have it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the words for it because I'd never been asked that question. Can you define the mental game?
Mm-hmm.
And a fellow by the name of Blake Brinker asked me, can you define the mental game? And I'm like, mental game of what? He's like, that's all I'm asking. I'm like, well, stand by, right? So I had to think about what we do at Shot IQ. I'm like, okay, here's the definition of the mental game. It's understanding where, when, and how to direct your conscious mind into a specific task at a specific moment. So when you're skiing down the lane, if you're doing a jump, you know that if you don't put your conscious mind in vision, then you're going to hit that tree or whatever it may be.
You're out of control
You're
pretty
go
quickly or have to slow down and be like, whoa, hold on.
All you do is you take your problem, whatever your problem is, and you plug it into the mental game equation, right? So for a precision rifle shot, where do you need your conscious mind? Let's start into the equation. Where do you need your conscious mind? In a precision rifle shot.
Have we laid our gun on?
Yes. Let's say that it's 400 yards, 4-inch plate, no wind.
Okay.
Good position. You've already dialed it. You've acquired the target. Fingers on the trigger.
Built my position.
Built your position.
Oh yeah. Then I've already decided I'm gonna hold a touch left, slight spin drift, and then I'm just squeezing. It's all on this for me.
Okay, so where are you going to put your conscious mind is in the trigger pressure increase.
Yeah.
Okay. When specifically do you put it there? So you've done all the dope. You've built your position. I'm talking about just the shot. You've aimed. Yes.
Yep.
So we know it's after that.
Yep.
You have acquired the trigger, so we know it's after that.
Yep.
And then what do? You start your breath.
I've already breathed. By the time I've got my by the time my finger's on the trigger, I'm on my exhale.
Okay.
And so I don't time my shot, but I have an idea of how much pressure, like if I have a 1.5 pound trigger, at the bottom of my breath, I've already got 8 to 10 ounces probably on my trigger.
Okay. So where trigger pressure increase? When the bottom of your exhale? How? How do you put your conscious mind in a specific task at a specific moment? What's the how of the mental game equation?
I visualize my finger driving straight back through the rifle on my shoulder.
Okay. So you're past most people's how. The how is speech. It's always speech. Speech is what moves thoughts from the limbic system of the brain to the prefrontal cortex where thinking occurs. So before it was your breath, it was you talking. Then you formulated into your breath. Before it was your visualization, it was you talking. Then you formed it into visualization, right? So you've advanced. But to get new shooters, where are they going to put their conscious mind? In the trigger pressure increase. When? After they've aimed and after they've addressed the trigger. Okay? You can make it whatever you want it to be. The how is always speech, right? Or sound, right?
Gotcha.
For you, it's a breath. For you, it's visualization. So you can take this, plug it into your skiing, plug it into your baseball, plug it into your whatever, right? I plugged it into an Olympic level decathlon coach called me after the Rogan podcast. I don't even know what sports are in the decathlon. I didn't even know there was 10 of them, hence the name, right? So I'm like, okay, coach, give me your biggest problem. He's like, oh, I'll tell you right now, the biggest problem in the decathlon is when my long jumpers are running down the lane, right before they put their foot on the launch pad, they put their shoulders back involuntarily and it kills the momentum of the jump. Oh, who knew, right? I'm like, okay, let's plug it into the equation. I said, where do you want their conscious mind? He said, in the longest jump possible. I said, nah, that's not the problem. The problem is in their shoulders, right? So the where is in their shoulders, and particularly keeping them forward. When? Right before they put their foot on the launch board. How? Speech. So as they're running down the lane, right before they hit the board, they say forward or shoulders or whatever it is, right? Just plug it into the equation. You can use this for literally everything. So that differs when we're talking about a charging grizzly bear, which there's been a pile of them in Shoto lately. They just killed one last week across the street from my house.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a couple of mushroom pickers. Yeah,
No way.
I can see that house from my house. Wow. Yeah, so those two fellas, one used a 45 ACP, one used a 10 millimeter. They've all been cleared by Fish and Wildlife, all that stuff. But they shot this bear 8 times. And I don't know what their skill level is with a pistol or anything like that, but it's a different mental game. If you're clearing a house, it's a different mental game, right? Where do I need to put my conscious mind on a charging grizzly bear? As far as a shot with a pistol goes, where do I put my conscious mind?
I know the answer to this. I'll let him answer.
What do you think?
Aim squeeze is what I'm thinking.
Aim is first. How do people miss a charging grizzly bear? It's huge, right? How do they miss that? They start shooting before they ever aim, right? So where do I need your conscious mind? In the aim. At least get the front sight on that thing's face, or get the red dot if you choose. Get the dot on the thing first. When do I need it there? As soon as you observe and you make the decision that you are going to have to shoot this bear to get it to change direction, right? How do you put it there? Speech. So when you're doing any type of open loop trigger work that's close and fast, you have to put your conscious mind in the aim. You got to get the aim right. The target is moving. You don't have control over that, right? So it's just you got to be able to see what mental game you have to play instantly, right? So like, let's say you got a big bull coming in, right? Big bull's coming in, you're looking ahead of him, you're like, okay, he's going to go right through that gap, right? So before he gets there, his head goes behind a tree and you draw your bow back. You're like, okay, you set your pins in that gap. Well, where does your conscious, you're not going to stop him. You've made the decision. You're not going to stop him. You're going to shoot him on the move. You got to get the aim right. Like if you need to lead him a little bit, you got to put it a little bit in front of the crease or whatever it may be. So but if he's 10 yards walking, you can punch the crap out of the trigger, and don't worry, you're not going to forget how to do that, right? That's what is required for that particular environment, right? So, when we're doing SWAT work, we're talking about mechanical offset, sight offset. Everybody screws it up because they don't think about the aim. You got to aim higher than where usually on an AR system, 2.7 inches higher at least than where you want to hit, right? That takes conscious effort, conscious attention to do that. And people screw it up all the time. They put that dot right where they want to hit them. They shoot them in the teeth. Every time.
Yeah, the other day I shot a coyote out hunting, and it was fast because I was hiking with the gun on my pack.
Okay.
And I just saw its head like go kind of over. I was like, oh, coyote. So I started running up the hill, and it kind of worked up the ridge and back into my sight. And I pulled my pack off and I grabbed my gun. I just remember getting on the gun, acquiring a sight picture and being, he's close, aim low, and just squeezed. There was no shot process beyond the aim low, go.
Right? So you did it, though. You played the right mental game for that particular shot.
But it hurt me a little bit because just so much of what I do is closed loop that it was a little but
Right.
you needed to.
But you got it. That is required for those situations. So, but it can't become the norm.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And it can't, you probably felt a little dirty, like you said.
Oh, yeah.
God,
that's terrible.
I felt a little dirty on that one. But you've always got closed loop to go back to. That's got to be your norm if you want to really be able to break shots with no pre-ignition movements.
Nice.
Yeah, I think people, coyote hunting, man, that will help you figure out if you got your process figured out or not.
Absolutely. Because, I can't tell you, that was my nemesis critter.
Yeah.
I used to work for USDA. It was my job, right? And I was horrible at it. I was really good with an air rifle. I was really good with a shotgun. I was horrible with a centerfire rifle. As soon as that reticle would even touch hair on a coyote, and this may be a coyote that you were after for weeks, right? That was killing the neighbor's chickens or whatever it was, and you finally get a shot at this thing. As soon as the crosshairs would get on hair, just hammer that trigger. And the worst part about it was I was a freaking sniper on the SWAT team at the time, right? And it would scare the crap out of me going, man, what am I going to do when it's the real deal? And, I had to have that turning point. And we've all had that turning point where it's like, I'm not doing it like that anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do it this way no matter what. And if you never get that turning point, you're never really going to demystify how you shoot this controlled shot. So
that's what. So there's so many people that I train a lot of people with the rifle. I try and help a lot of people with the bow, archery league and that stuff, right? And everybody's like, "Oh, how are you shooting good?" It's like, dude, I'm just got this process. I just do this, and the arrow ends up where it is, right? What I'm curious about with your students that with shooting and all the other things, what's the difference? What the problem is, I have people not fully commit, and I'm curious, what do you see as the difference between students who fully buy in and they succeed in controlled shot process for precision shooting, and those who always just bounce back and forth?
So the ones that bounce back and forth usually haven't failed enough yet, and they've had good success in hunting or whatever, and they don't shoot tournaments, so that doesn't really mean anything to them. But there's always a critter, like the big one that got away, right?
I'm thinking of a couple guys right now.
There's the big one that got away, and it's like, man, that was a totally doable shot if you would have not punched the trigger on that one or whatever. So there's usually, and if there's not one of those, well, they haven't got there in their life experience yet. Cool. People they ask me about Cameron Haynes all the time. Like, oh, when are you going to fix Cameron Haynes? I'm like, why would I need to fix Cameron Haynes?
Yeah.
Like, the guy kills all kinds of stuff. He gets to go on all kinds of cool hunts. And the thing is that I don't try to fix people unless you're going to teach it, right? Like, at some point, somebody's going to ask you, Zach, how do you do what you do, right? If they're smart, they'll ask you that question. If they're just trying to watch from the background, so what bow does he shoot? What release does he shoot? How does he stand when he shoots? Oh man, he can work through that trigger. Great. I wish I could do that. Maybe I should shoot the same release he does. None of that matters, right? Yeah. We don't ask the right questions. Hey, Zach, what do you say when you shoot? That's the question that needs to be asked. Don't ask, what are you thinking? Hey, what are you thinking when you shoot? Because you'll tell us your thoughts, right? Because people don't really understand the difference between thoughts and thinking, or a lot of people don't. So ask people, what are you saying? What are you saying when you shoot? Oh, well, people are kind of sheepish about it. They're like, I kind of say this or that or whatever, but it's those that are the loudest are the most successful. And everybody's had, I got to train Gene Wenzel. I don't know if you know who Gene is. He's 80 years old, and he is one of the most famous whitetail hunters that there is. He's in Hamilton, Montana. He's written numerous books. Him and his brother Barry, they're twins, superhuman beings, and they were legends in the whitetail hunting world because they've killed giants. But they tell you all the stories about the ones they missed, right? They were legends because of their hunting ability. They're not legends because of their shooting ability. And to be able to train those Gene and say, hey, man, he's like, oh, my gosh, where were you 60 years ago? You know? And that makes me sad, but it really comes to bear when you have to teach somebody else, you know? And what I tell people is, like, if you don't know how you do what you do, your skills are going to die with you. Think about how many phenomenal hunters there have been that they couldn't explain how they do what they do, and their skills died with them. And that's sad. Like, we don't need that anymore. I'm putting it all out there, right? I'm not letting my skills die with me because I came from horrible shooting. Just being frustrated. It took me 13 years to kill a bull elk with my bow. 2-time world elk calling champion.
Wow.
And call him in like a chicken on a string.
Wow.
So many opportunities missed. Oh, I didn't want to think about it. 13 years
That's
of that.
crazy.
Because I couldn't control myself. Because I didn't know what to say and when to say it, and I didn't know how to get loud. You know, and that was one of your questions in your thing that you gave me was, you know, what can people do to practice this? And you asked that question. Well, go shoot tournaments, but if you can't shoot tournaments, then do something that requires a conscious override. Like, one of the best things is holding your breath. When you hold your breath, your thoughts get very loud. And as soon as your thoughts get louder than your voice, you'll take another breath. You could physically go longer.
Dude, that's awesome. That question came from Seth McAnally.
Oh.
You met Seth. And Seth's he talks, he hangs out with me and Zach. So it's like there's gonna be a lot of pressure, me and Zach or whatever being around us. And it's he's like, I just don't have I'm not naturally as loud in my own head. Yeah. And so he was like, how do I practice getting louder? And that's a good one right there.
Yeah, we do a test in the online course called the empty lung hold. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
And you do it once, and then I explain the thoughts aren't thinking, and then I make you do it again. Nice. And you got to get at least 10 more seconds. Oh, how in the world are you going to do that? The only way to do that is to get louder. Yeah. Right? So you really get good at getting loud. It's the ultimate skill. You start to use things in a different way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not in bow shops as often as either of you two guys are, I'm sure, but has there been any like advancement in trying to provide good insight to new archers that come through the bow shop setting? So there never was. In my personal experiences.
Yeah, so
and it's obviously complicated and takes a lot of time, but I feel like a lot of people are not really set up for success.
Right.
You know?
They are given a drawback and aim. Okay, you got your eye on your peep sight. Okay, put the pin on it. Okay, now work the trigger slowly. Okay, cool. Boonk. And then out the door they go. But now there's the internet, right? And there's so much information out there now. And now shot control is a thing by which you are judged. Whether you like it or not, if somebody gets on there and punches the crap out of the trigger, there's going to be a bunch of comments.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hey, go see Joel Turner at Shot IQ. Hey, go see Joel Turner at Shot IQ. I'm like, hey, man, just like, you put it out there. Yeah. I'm not saying that on the internet, but it's a thing now by which you're judged. And it's why people have to constantly, if they do punch a trigger, they have to constantly explain themselves. Well, the only question that I have, if you are successful at command shooting or whatever, and I get to deal with all the pros, with Bodie and all that stuff. So there are some amazing command shooters out there. And it's great for them that they're a good command shooter. But I ask them the question, would you teach your shot to somebody else? Would you teach your shot to a new shooter? And I haven't had one yet say, yes, I would.
Yeah, no.
It's pretty difficult to actually teach a command shot because they so easily slip into punching that trigger right before the pin gets in the middle or whatever, all the other, troubles that come with that. So it's Yeah, just using it in a different way. So now when they go out of the bow shop, I mean, the bow shop owners are now having to be good shooters. And that's changed, right? So there's a lot more, just the amount of information that's out there now, should you choose to accept it or not. So.
Yeah, that's great. So speaking of the pro shooters and all that, I just want to jump into the archery, to Vegas shoot.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember what I was watching. We all thought there was going to be a live feed that came up on it. And then there was a
live feed, but that was a bogus link.
It was bogus, and I was on there waiting for it, and then the chat exploded, and there was some dudes at the Vegas shoot keeping us updated. I'm literally, my wife's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm just following the chat, and they're telling us what's happening." It was terrible. I got to watch it the next day whenever they put it out.
Right.
Regardless, I'm just curious. Like when I watch Bodie, he looks cool as a cucumber.
Yeah.
Right. How are you and your wife feeling watching him up there? I'm curious about where you're at.
Yeah, I'm watching. We're front row, and I'm like, oh, come on, boy. And I watch Bodie. I watch Bodie shoot because I got it on the huge screen, so you can see it. And of course, I've got my binos for no reason. It's way closer on the screen. So I'm watching Bodie, and I'm watching his body language on, when he goes down the target, when he comes back, how relaxed is he? And I particularly watch his follow through, because follow through is not a movement. It's just something that happens after a good controlled shot, right? So he's working through his trigger, and we've got it to where he has such little input now on the trigger. Like his thumb button is probably, I'd say it's probably around 12 ounces, somewhere in there. We haven't put it on a gauge, but that's where I'm thinking it's at. So we do that to minimize input. So he draws back and aims. Once his aim is complete, he addresses the trigger, very light. Then here I go, and then he just is increasing single-digit manipulation on that trigger until it breaks. And when you see Bodie, when you see him break, his wrist will break down, and then he gets kind of flowy, right? It's like, boom, and sometimes even kind of leans back a little bit. When he's doing that, man, he's very hard to beat.
He's feeling it.
He's very hard to beat because that means his pin is sitting good how he wants it to. That means that he's got the right pin speed. And everything's breaking good. So I'm watching that. When I see that one that's dunk, I'm like, he didn't like that one, right? Because he saw something at the very end, couldn't stop it, right? Because he's just increasing that pressure and not so worried about it because it's still going in there. But that's what I'm watching. So I'm watching this shoot off. I'm like, okay, yeah, Bodie's doing good. And about the fourth end, he said, these are his words. He said, the only way I'm losing this shoot off is if they go inside out.
Oh man.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, then 14 or
crazy.
I think it was end 14 or 15 they went to that inside outs, and Fullerton went to skinnies, and he had to do a lot of sight adjustment with that. And Bodie doesn't pay attention to much for the rules or what's going on. I mean, somebody tells him to get on the bus or whatever. He just gets on the bus and goes there. And to the point where he didn't even know that it was an end of 3 arrows. He thought it was another 1 arrow shoot off.
Oh, gotcha.
Which in 2025, it's been pretty rough with him and 1 arrow shoot offs.
Yeah.
Like he shot a 660 at Lancaster.
Crazy.
2 other fellas did. Gets in a 1 arrow shoot off, loses it by 20 grand by a millimeter.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, cool. Then he gets in, so he doesn't even make it into the final. That was he was either top seed or didn't even get in.
Crazy.
In Lancaster, right?
So crazy.
So, so all this, and so the 1 arrow shoot offs have been rough. And so there he is. It was down to 3. So it was him, Nico Girard, and Chris Perkins. And Nico Girard shoots his first one, and he's shooting 23s because
I didn't know he was on 23s.
He had just come from the World Archery Finals, and Bodie opted to not shoot that.
Gotcha.
Because it was going to be too close to the actual finals. He's like, I'm not even shooting it. So, I mean, we had gone to Chicago to a tournament just so that he could shoot the World Series at Vegas, but he was coming in there. He'd shot 89 out of 90 X's at Vegas.
Yep.
He's like, I'm just going to put all my energy into the actual shoot off. He goes, I'm not even going to shoot World Archery. Because he would have had to get up at like 6 in the morning, and Bodie's not a morning dude.
He had to switch to 23s.
Yeah, he would have had to switch to 23s, mess with his bow. He's like, I'm not doing it. He goes, I'm sleeping in. I'm going to stick with my 27s. I'm not changing nothing on my bow. I'm just putting full energy into this thing.
Nice.
Because, I mean, there's so much more money on the line with that. So, anyway, so Nico Girard, first shot of that second to the last end, he pounds an absolute dead center inside out X. And Bodie doesn't, right? He shoots a good shot. It's way inside, but it's not inside out. He touched the inner line. And then Perkins missed, and Bodie was fist bumping Nico Girard because Bodie thought that
he just won it.
Thought he just won
No
it.
way.
Thought
Crazy.
it was a 1-arrow shoot-off.
Crazy.
So he's like, "Hey man, congratulations, nice shooting." And Nico
That's crazy.
Nico knocks another arrow, and Bodie's like, "I get another chance." Right? So then he realizes that it's 3 arrows.
Nico's probably like, "Is this dude messing with me?"
Yeah,
Like,
right.
I'd be like, "That's a great tactic. I'd keep fist bumping those dudes after those first arrows if they get on you."
So then Bodie pounds one in the middle on his second chance, and Bodie says, "If you give me 3 shots, one of them's going to be inside out."
Nice.
They're not all going to be inside out. I mean, that's like inside out X's with a 27 is the very edge of human performance. There's luck involved in that, right? You can't be that precise. I mean, you're talking, it's
it's not even like a dime to a penny, right?
it's
tighter
the size
than
of
that.
a penny.
Yeah.
But a 27 is 27/64. So, I mean, that thing's huge. There's like a little bit more than a millimeter around it.
Wow.
If you hit the spider.
Oh, that's crazy.
So, anyways, so Bodie hits that one, then, they go on and Bodie hits another one and wins with a 28. So, like, Bodie's like, "You give me 3, I'm going to get 1 in there,"
Nice.
even with the 27. So that was pretty cool for him to win that. But
That's right. And he hadn't considered having a skinny with him.
well, he didn't even realize, like I said, he doesn't look at rules very much.
Gotcha.
He didn't even realize that he could do that, right?
Wow.
And plus, he decided against it, and I
Nice.
guess Perkins decided against it as well. So, Matthias is an amazing shooter, shoots a very similar shot to Bodie, but he took the risk and went with the skinnies, and it didn't quite work out for him. But there's lots of new strategies that are coming out for this
really?
whole, because
Nice.
they don't know what they're going to allow yet, but I'm thinking it's probably going to be a whole new bow, a whole other bow.
Wow.
And I think they'll start shooting it early. I think they'll, because now, I mean, the president there, he can call it whenever. He can call inside outs whenever.
Wow.
I think that he kind of wants to go a little bit longer. Like I think he'll keep going to 15 ends. Some people have said they want him to go to 10 ends. But I think these guys will start shooting their inside out bow a couple ends early.
Oh, gotcha.
I think they're going to shoot skinnies.
Just have a whole nother
because they're
bow.
going to hit
Gotcha.
X's.
Yep.
I mean, these guys are so good.
Yeah.
I know they think they're going to hit X's. I think they're going to hit X's. So they're going to have a couple of practice rounds to really get it dialed in. Because I
that's
mean, when you're
crazy.
talking an X or a X10, that thing is 3.2 millimeters. So it's tiny, tiny. So there's more skill than luck involved once you get to that level. So, there's going to be lots of new strategies, but we don't know what they're going to allow. We don't know if they're going to allow them to shoot another bow or what. We don't know.
Interesting.
We shall see.
That's exciting, man.
Yeah.
It was rad to see him do it again.
Yeah.
I was there for his first one watching it.
Yeah.
And I was there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah.
I was up in the stands watching. It was cool to
winning
see
it
him get
that
a
second time was, now it's kind of like, okay, now we can start really rolling. That winning it again was tough.
Mm-hmm.
That was, and I was talking to Donnie Vincent about it. Donnie's like, that's going to be his hardest win, is winning Vegas a second time.
Yeah.
And then to do it with inside outs with 27s. So good, man.
Now he knows how to do it twice, dude. Now he can just roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He's going to be hard to beat.
How's the Matthews shooting for him? We
Good.
talked about it a little earlier.
Yeah, really good. It went to, we noticed that, Bodie had the opportunity. We kept him out of a bow contract so that he could shoot whatever he wants to shoot.
Yep.
I didn't want him pinned down to a specific bow. And I think that actually built some cred for him. Like, I didn't want people looking at Bodie and go, the only reason he's shooting that is because he's getting paid to.
Yep.
And because there's so many shooters, when you hear the inner circles, like, man, this thing doesn't aim very well or whatever. I'm like, well, you're locked into a contract with that thing.
Yeah.
But that's, you can't blame these people. They get paid, they get equipment. You can't blame them, right? But we were in a unique opportunity where we were able to test. And the bow companies were gracious enough to give us some bows we bought, some bows we didn't. I mean, hell, the first Vegas win was with a bow that I bought off of Facebook.
Nice.
You know, and his first national championship in field was a bow that I bought off of Facebook,
That's awesome,
right? When I was
yeah.
buying Hoyt Invictus.
Nice.
And so having this opportunity to test, and people are like, well, you know, why don't you just test them and then, you know, go to something else? Like, you can't make a determination on a bow until you shoot it in a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Till your body is physiologically changed to that state, and then you get to see what happens with the bow. Does this bow aim fast enough? Does the bow aim too slow? Is it, you know, how does it need to be weighted and all this stuff? How does it react to a little bit more tension on the cams, you know,
Yeah.
with creep tuning and all that stuff? So it took us years to figure out, because you only get to test it at Lancaster, get to test it at Vegas, get to test it at Rushmore Rumble to a certain degree. But Lancaster and Vegas were the big tests, or maybe you're doing field nationals. These big tournaments are the only places where somebody like Bodie that shoots all these tournaments, that's the only place where you get this slight physiological change, and then you can test a bow.
Wow.
Right? So we were able to test and test and test. And what we saw in Matthews was people were starting to win with this title that were not winning with other bows.
Wow.
We knew they're good shooters, but they're shooting better scores with this title for some reason.
Wow.
So that's when we got our hands on one, and Bodie shot it well, but wasn't fully convinced and hadn't tested it on indoor, and was drawn to some other bows. But then he got to shoot it in indoor and was like, okay, this thing is, and he loved his lift for hunting, and pulled off some amazing shots with that thing. And
was he shooting tournaments with a lift as
No.
well, or 3D or anything?
He shot some 3Ds
Saw some
with
3D
it. Yeah.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah, but nothing
Nothing big indoor.
Yeah, just pretty much local stuff.
Gotcha.
But, and you know, we were going between Title 36, Title 38, and all that stuff. But his lift was kind of his go-to hunting bow. And now with the Lift X, and now the titles with the limb drive system.
Oh man, it's so cool.
Man, it's so easy to tune, and he just absolutely pounds with that thing.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, it's super exciting. We both have them. I set mine up right away. He still needs to set his up.
Yeah,
But
it's good. It's
I'm
good.
loving them.
I'm just waiting because I know that I need to go. There's, you know, I've progressed into a pretty deep spot with the rifle, and I kind of had a lot more challenge with the bow that I had to overcome than a rifle, which is why I think I'm good with the rifle now. I had target panic with my bow before I ever even took shooting rifles that seriously, outside of just going hunting and shooting. And you can get them stable, and so you don't see the results that much. But I'm kind of the opposite of Jared. I'm not a tinkerer. Like, I set that bow up by myself. I basically watched like a couple Levi Morgan videos, did it that way, shot it through paper.
Right.
It shot good. I shot my field points and my broadheads, and they hit together, and it looked like the arrow was spinning, flying good, and I was done.
Yeah.
But
And that's all you got to do.
I was going to ask you, for guys who are setting up their hunting bows for Western big game hunting, elk, mule deer, whatever, antelope, what's one thing that shouldn't be overlooked in the setup of the bow? Or maybe something that people do overlook that is important?
Well, a couple things. One is making sure your cam timing is good, and shoot the crap out of that thing and see if it changes. Because when you first get your bow, you need to shoot it a lot.
Yeah.
Your timing is going to change a little bit. Get that fixed up. Probably won't have to mess with it again. And then your cordage, as far as your D-loop goes, learn how to tie a D-loop. Learn how to tie a soft knock point. And there's a lot of people out there that are still shooting 2 knock points inside their D-loop. And
I wanted to talk to you about this because I am.
we have found that to not be quite as accurate. I mean, when Bodie tests a broadhead, he shoots it at 140 yards. If it doesn't, and it's not going to hit with your field points at 140, but it should be damn close. Your line should be good.
Yep.
Right now, obviously, with the drag coefficients on, it's going to be slightly
Lower,
less,
slightly low. but
just slightly low.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we're talking a couple of inches at 140. And so the D-loop stuff, you got to be careful with the pressures of that because a lot of guys are putting 2 knock points in there that are the same depth. And when you do that, and I've got the pictures to show you, when you do that, the center of your loop is higher than the center of your knock, of your arrow. And when you get that, you get a negative knock pressure because it's angled like this. Your string is actually angled like this inside the loop.
Gotcha.
So what we do is we use a single knock point. It's 80-pound Magibraid Dacron fishing line with a double constrictor knot.
Write that down, Jared.
That's what we use.
That's what I was about
It's
to do,
all
yeah.
over the internet now, right? So double constrictor knot on the bottom, no knot on the top. That keeps your string 90 degrees inside
Okay.
your loop. And the center of your loop is just a hair lower than the center of the knock,
Okay.
which creates positive knock pressure with the string angle.
Gotcha.
So that holds your arrow. It just seems to be a bit more accurate.
Okay.
And
What's the name of that stuff?
it's 80-pound Magibraid, Magibraid, Magibraid.
Thank you.
It's Travis T-Bone Turner has used it for years.
Oh, nice.
And it's because he's so damn smart on bows. But there was people selling this stuff for a couple bucks for a couple feet of this stuff until I
That's
figured out
hilarious.
what it was. It was
Nice.
always known as the secret knock tying thread, right?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so but now it's out there. So I'm apologize if I ruined your sales, but it's 80-pound Magibraid Dacron fishing line.
Awesome.
So double constrictor knot.
Okay.
That's all over the internet now
Okay.
as well. It's a super simple knot to tie,
And just on the bottom side.
just
of
on the
knot.
bottom.
Okay. Perfect.
And just, that way you don't need as much space in between the knock and your top. Well, I mean, it's going to be butted up against the top loop knot, but you don't need we do 1 serving strand worth of gap
Okay.
because it's held at 90 degrees now. You don't have that angle
Gotcha,
taken up
yeah.
that. You don't need that anymore.
Awesome.
So that reduces your knock play.
Awesome.
So your up and down is much more good.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. We'll do
Because
that.
I mean, I don't shoot far, I would say, on animals for what some people are comfortable with.
Mhm.
A bull elk, it's really 50 and in, and I'll stretch it to 60 if everything's
Sure.
sitting real pretty and he got time and he's
Yeah,
broadside.
and he's
it's not
relaxed and all
windy,
that
He
stuff,
doesn't
yeah.
know I'm there.
For sure.
So it's like, I do like finding little things to, if I can make the system a little bit better, but I know at the end of the day, I'm just like the rifle, the weakest link. So if I can figure this out
Yeah,
more,
it's huge.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be more successful as a hunter than
Yeah. So,
getting too,
right.
not that it's a bad thing, but I think some people will focus on the gear and the
Right.
tuning and the load or the
Yeah.
arrow build more than going and shooting, getting
Right.
the thing between
None
your
of it
ears
matters
dialed.
if you punch the trigger and your pre-ignition movements override your
Yeah.
everything else. It doesn't matter what your
Yeah,
form
I've
is,
seen
right?
that
Oh,
before.
my
I've had
gosh.
some, probably not as much as you, but I had
Yeah.
a pretty rough, probably 3 or maybe 4 years of killed
Yeah.
some stuff, but missed a lot of stuff. And
Right. If we can just, and people now understand, thoughts aren't thinking, they understand the mental game, right? If I can just get people to pause for just a moment after they aim, right? If you can get them to say, here I go, in that moment, the critical second, draw back and aim no matter how much you're shaking it. Here I go. Like you don't say that until the aim is complete, right? And then you get your draw back and aim, finger on the trigger, here I go, and then you work, right? And if you still punch the trigger a little bit, cool. It's not going to be perfect, but it's a start. And then you can go, okay, I got myself through the aim. I got myself to address the trigger without punching it. I got myself to here I go. Then I kind of still punched it. Cool. You've done 3 of the 4 hardest things that the human
Nice.
mind can comprehend. But now you know what the problem is.
Yeah.
So now you just experienced it. Cool. I guess I got to get louder. Okay. So that's when you go practice your shooting on 1 foot with all your buddies in tournaments. Hold your breath, right? Do the empty lung hold, whatever it may be. It's all on my online courses.
Yeah.
Honestly, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it,
so-
I got to take my own advice a little bit, and I probably should shoot an archery tournament of some kind next
You
year.
should, for
Just because, we are in a position of influence, and we work with Matthews, and I shot Redding a while ago, which was awesome. I was still on the back end of my target panic, so I didn't get to enjoy it as much as I would like to. But for just jumping into some level of archery competition, I guess with hunting as the output, and I'm trying to put myself in a more high pressure scenario, what's a good go do one of these or look at these couple options for something to do?
Indoor archery league in the winter.
Okay.
Indoor archery, and I say that, people are like, well, indoor archery, you only shoot 20 yards. Yeah, but you're shooting at a penny. And if you miss the penny, Bodie's going to annihilate you.
Yeah. Or the dude on either side of you that you like.
Right?
Yeah, it's
so
like.
Go shoot, and you're striving for a 300 Vegas round.
Yep.
There's not that many people that do that.
Yep.
No.
Right? In the professional archery world, you have to, and then you gotta be way beyond that. But get yourself to where you can shoot a 300.
And that would apply if I just wanted to show up with my hunting bow.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Now your hunting bow, getting a 300 is going to be a pretty good feat.
Yeah.
But you should damn sure be shooting a 295.
Okay.
Right. So with your hunting arrows, hunting setup, regular 5-pin, 7-pin, whatever mover, whatever you're doing, right? Because that's pure accuracy.
Yep.
And you're going to have people right next to you shooting, bows going off on all sides of you, and then make it fun, right? Like, hey, we're shooting this one on 1 foot. It's just
for sure.
Anything you can practice getting loud with the right words at the right moments.
Yep.
And you'll figure out what those right words are and what the right moments are within that, because now you know the mental game equation, but you get this experience over and over and over again. I didn't used to shoot tournaments, and it was bad. Like when I was first starting in the sniper work, there was no PRS that I knew of. There was no NRL stuff. I mean, like, I wish there was, because I could have overcome this so much faster.
Yep.
So
That's what the Vegas rounds, man. Like, I don't need to make it any harder. I've got a 300 that just shooting by myself, not even in league.
Yeah.
But I put it on my refrigerator in my garage because it was with my hunting bow, and I felt really good about it. And it's hard, man. It's hard.
Yeah. And the last arrow is the hardest one.
Dude, it's the hardest one.
Because that's when the thoughts get loud. Oh man,
Dude,
if I get this, I'm gonna have my 300.
Like in Vegas,
First
when the
one,
guy
last
comes
one.
over, first scoring in, and all of a sudden you start shaking. It's why am I shaking, dude?
Right.
We're a bunch of archery nerds. There's nothing, like, I'm just shooting amateur with flights, right? Like, it doesn't matter, and I'm shaking, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like, shaking. And I'm shooting I was shooting a TRX 38 with a big bar, all this, dude, and it's shaking. I was like, why am I shaking, dude? It took me all 2 minutes to shoot my 3 arrows because I had let down like 3 times with that first hit. It was terrible. It's terrible.
Yep.
It's great, but terrible.
Yep.
Yeah, I get it. I played golf competitively growing up a bunch, so I know the keeping score in your head and getting out in front of yourself instead of all you can do is the process in front of you and then do the next one, but it starts creeping in.
Yeah.
Oh, don't miss this putter. You got to make this putter. You got to do this.
Those are all thoughts, right? So, like, I've talked to several PGA folks now, and it's like those that are extremely successful are the ones that get the loudest with the right words at the right moment. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to shoot this one. I'm going to get a birdie on this one. That has no instruction. Yeah. It has no strategy. It is a thought, right? So it can't solve the problem. So, but those guys that talk themselves into their setup on the putt and all their movements and all that stuff. Now, in the Mind IQ online course, I've got some golf specific modules in there that talk about open and closed loop and where to put the conscious mind and when to put it there and how to put it there and all that stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I was fortunate. I kind of went through my own process, and then when you came to Stone Glacier, what I found out eventually through trial and error, probably like you did, was similar to what you taught us. You articulated it better and added a couple little things, but so I haven't really delved into what you provide people through the Shot IQ. Can you, for the people listening, just explain, like, for the random Joe Schmo who's like, I suck at shooting, I need help. What does it look like for them to come to any of your programs and get education?
The main thing is the online education that we have at shotiq.com. So we've got an online course in the control process shooting of archery, precision rifle, and precision pistol. And in the pistol course, we also cover fast and close stuff as well.
Nice.
So in that, you can watch it on your phone. You can be on the range watching it. You can have your tablet. You can be in your house. You can be wherever you want. And you can watch it in real time, and it's all very specific modules. Like if you're shooting a thumb button, there's thumb button modules. You'll go into the course and you'll learn the science of how the brain works, and you go, "Oh, I do that."
Yeah.
Wait a minute, he's talking about me, and that people think they're the only ones that we're all dealing with the same thing, myself included, right? So they go through the science of it, and then you can branch off in a traditional archery track or the compound track, and then we kind of come together with a summary of it. And by the end of that, if you do take the online course, do not skip the signature test. We don't talk about the signature test because it's kind of like the coup de grace. It is like a fundamental thing that's behind the paywall of the online course, but don't skip that. Like Rogan skipped that. That's why he kept explaining it backwards, right? Then when I finally got face to face with Joe, I'm like, "Joe, did you take the signature test?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Well, let's go do it." He's like, "This is so stupid," and that's what you're gonna feel when you take the thing. But it's crucial that you take it, and you got to get it right eventually. So you're going to learn all those things in the rifle course. We talk about, using old military rifles with nasty triggers to practice getting loud in your head. Nice. And with those, I'm constantly updating them, right? You get new modules and it's no extra cost. Like it's a one-time cost for that. And you get whatever new information comes out, we'll put it out there in a module. And then I go around the globe teaching courses. We'll do a clinic. Usually there's 15 shooters per day, and it's usually a 2-day event, so 15 shooters, new 15 shooters the next day. So those are by request. So if there's people with shops or whatever out there that want that, we do that as well.
Cool.
So
what does it roughly cost people for the online?
The online is $247.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we've got bundle packages to where you can get additional courses for a significant discount. So
and how long do you think it takes your average student to kind of get through the coursework? I know,
like if you just sat on the archery course, if you just sat there and watched it, it'd be about 2.5 hours.
Yep.
But people got to go back through it. It's a lot of information. Yeah. So, but listening to podcasts like this and getting snippets of the information, then you watch the course, like, oh, that's what they're talking about. Oh, that's how I would do that, right? So, and the big things in the course, commentary shooting is a new module in there that. Like, I highly recommend you watch that and you do that. It will get you in control much faster because you'll understand what you say and when you say it. Yep. It's funny to listen to yourself talk yourself through a shot, man. People don't like doing it. They're like, okay, I'm drawing back. As they send me videos, they're like, okay, I'm drawing back and aiming. Okay, I got my pin in the middle. Okay, I'm putting my finger on the trigger. Here I go. Silence, right? They don't talk about the hard part. And then I'm like, well, what were you saying? I don't think I was saying anything. No, you weren't, because I didn't hear anything coming out of your face. Awesome, it's pretty fun.
My last question. I'm pretty sure I'd have to shoot. I haven't shot my bow since I killed my bull last year, so I haven't really been shooting much. This is kind of bad.
I'm
pretty sure that I've thought about it before, and I'm pretty sure I breathe through my whole shot process even when I'm at full draw, because I think sometimes you might start kind of blacking out a little bit if you hold your breath. But is there a breathing mentality that you have other than just continuing to breathe when you get aimed?
I breathe in when I draw.
Yep.
And I try to shoot on that breath. If I need to take another breath, I do. I listen to myself breathing on that 366 bull I killed in 23 at 12,000 feet. It sounds like I'm at 12,000 feet. And man, you can't hold your breath up there. That was because you hear me try to do that. Like you can hear me breathe in, but then like, wow, So, and when you bugle, like, you just let it all out. So man, it takes a lot to get it back in there. So, breathe again if you have to. If you see visual acuity starting to leave you, you've got to take another breath, right? And one thing is people will start to let down too much. Like use your shot. Instead of just going out and shooting your shot, use it. starve yourself of oxygen on a shot so you lose your visual acuity, and practice being aware of that and taking another breath and realize what that does to your pressures, right? You got to know what your accuracy window is.
For sure.
And you got to know how to fight through a shot. Like a lot of times people are like, well, I couldn't get my pin on the middle, so I let down. And the subconscious just won that, right? Fight through it, right? Get your pin on, then put your finger on the trigger. That's one of the main things too, is get your aim done first, then put your finger on the trigger. Because if you're having any trouble locking off the target, it's because you got your finger on the trigger too soon, right? So you'll be able to aim just fine. If you put your finger on the trigger and the pin falls off, take your finger back off the trigger and fix it. Then finger back on. If it falls off again, cool. Finger off, fix it, right? You might have to do it 10 times in one shot. The only reason you would let down in training is if you're physically exhausted and can't hold your bow back anymore. That's the only reason you would let down. Right? And that's going to sound weird, and the archery coaches around the world are going to lose their mind. Cool. I'm practicing for a major fight. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
How much time are you
I'm
doing?
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, a couple more questions
Yeah.
for you. So, the terminal ballistic stuff.
Okay.
You've got the test quite a bit.
Yeah.
We get the question constantly, what caliber? And right now, everybody wants a 7 PRC or 300 PRC or 7 backcountry, and they think that that's what's required to kill an elk or a deer or whatever that. Curious what you would recommend for caliber bullet rifle, Western big game hunting.
Yeah. So I stay on the lower end of things. The only thing I'm worried about is where does my rifle drop below 2,200? Where does the bullet drop below 2,200 feet per second? I'm trying to get that out the farthest. Because at 2,200 feet per second, that's the bottom end of hydrostatic shock, the pushing of water through organs.
Yep.
So if you are below that, you're only crushing the tissue that is being touched by the leading edge of the bullet. Now, hopefully your bullet has mushroomed so that leading edge is bigger, but that's where you have to start changing where you're aiming. That's where you start having to go to the high shoulder shots and such, instead of being able to basically jellify the lungs. So that's how I'm not so worried about the caliber. I'm worried about how far does it stay above 2,200 feet per second. And most of those calibers that you just mentioned, it's around 550 to 600, somewhere in there. So I can usually get closer than that. If I can't, cool. If I can't, that's where I'm going to change my aim point, right? Because at that point, you're just going to be punching holes in the lungs, and yes, you will kill the critter, but they'll go much farther. Like we were doing culling operations on elk, shooting with 308s with a 16-inch barrel. That thing's only coming out at 2,400 feet per second.
Wow.
Well, we're shooting these elk at 300, 350 yards, and you could see like you'd hit them, perfect hit, and they're still standing.
Wow.
Hit them again, they're still standing. Right?
Yeah.
And it would take a significantly longer amount of time than if I'd shoot them with, I had my 300 PRC on one, right? And I was able to put that in there, same distance, and that thing was just smokes them because of the hydrostatic shock.
Yeah, the shock that was happening.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, the wound channel is permanent and big, right? It's how much water you're pushing through that organ. So I like a 6.5 PRC because I can see impact. It stays above 2,200. The load I'm shooting out past 550. And so, you're coming from shooting a longbow to shooting a 6.5 PRC. I'm not that worried about it.
For sure.
That's how I gauge what I'm doing with a rifle.
Yeah, I love it. A lot of guys the issue is the amount of recoil with the 7 PRC, 300 PRC when people have not addressed their shot process. And they're flinching, man, and they're just getting pounded by the recoil. And at some point, like when you're shooting these big magnums, like you can only tolerate it for so long.
Sure.
So as Zach and I both hunt with a 6.5 PRC, 6.5 Creedmoor, smaller even, right? And that's what is just. I know that you've got the opportunity to kill a lot of critters. And so I was curious.
Yeah. So and a lot of the culling operations that I'm involved in, you got to see impact. So that 6.5 is at the upper edge of being able to see impact within 200, right?
Yep.
and now we've gone down to even the 22 Creedmoor, and that thing is really sweet.
Yeah.
Man, you can see impact with that like crazy. So that's actually the round that we've gone to with the 80 grain ELDX.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we've gone to that for our culling operations because we're able to vertebrae or head shoot, and man, that thing is sweet.
That's a killing bullet. We had our buddy Carl Ross on. He kills a bunch of stuff with the 88 ELDM.
Oh,
Very similar to
do you know
that
what
bullet.
speed he's running that at?
Man, he's been running out of a 22 BR, but he actually just texted me. It's 29.25 out of his 22 Creedmoor.
Okay.
So out of his 22 BR is a little bit slower, but it's a 18-inch 22 Creedmoor, and he's running the 88 at 29.25.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that's the ELDM.
That's the LDM.
Yeah, so I like the thinner jackets too.
Yep.
Like I've had in all the culling operations we do, we're always worried about over penetration because there's other animals around that we're not trying to cull out. So we've always shot, ballistic tips or the AMAX bullet or the ELDMs. Yeah, so it's been good.
You're liking the X's though, because
The X,
the hunting has a slightly thinner jacket.
So where we're, what we cull is mostly elk.
Okay.
So on the ELDM, it's a little bit light for vertebrae penetration because we're trying to completely sever the spinal cord.
Gotcha.
So we don't want to we want to be slightly explosive, if that makes sense, but not too explosive because I got to get a piece of bullet that's big enough to sever the spinal cord.
Gotcha.
The spinal cord, like we're talking small. And on these elk that we're dealing with, we very rarely will take a broadside neck shot because we have to save the obex, the first 4 inches of brainstem, so I'm not able to head shoot them usually.
Gotcha.
So I have to vertebrae shoot them, and so I'll usually wait till it's straight away or straight toward me, just so I don't have to gauge where that spinal cord is in that big elk neck. So, but the ELDX that we've been shooting, Bodie just did another one the other day, and it was, I think he shot it at just over 100. But I watched him do a couple of 140s. I've kind of been breaking Bodie in on the culling operations that we do. And so he's getting a lot of good experience with that. But that 80 grain ELDX has been really good. Very minimal nerve movement. That's kind of how we gauge it as well. So, yeah.
That's
been
awesome.
Good. It's been a really good round.
Nice.
So
that's super
I'm excited for it.
We're playing with the 22. We'll talk about later.
Okay.
But yeah, we got
all right.
We got
Let me know.
plans. Yeah.
It's just not finalized. It's not a secret. Other than we're just kind of waiting to get it built and put together before we say too much.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, pretty fun. And then broadheads with archery. Are you a fixed guy, mechanical?
I'm shooting traditional archery stuff, so I'm pretty fixed blade. But Bodie, for the last 2 years, has been shooting the Bomar Beast.
Oh, cool.
And man, he has had amazing success with that thing. Yeah, he's done. I'm not going to mention how far he shot his two deer at last year. They were extreme ranges, but he's killed, I think, 5 deer and 3 elk with the Beast now in the last couple of years. So great penetration, great blood trails, no breaking blades, anything like that.
They fly awesome from what I
fly.
hear.
I mean, because he's shooting them at 140. That's his broadhead test is 140 yards.
Nice.
So yeah, thing's been phenomenal.
That's awesome.
Really good.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool. Then last question that I got, my brother's coming up to hunt. He's from California. I'm from California originally too. When I got here, I was all scared of grizzly bears and got the 10 mil. And my brother's coming up to hunt this year, and he was asking me what caliber and what bullet as well.
Doesn't matter the bullet.
Okay.
And I would stick with the 10 only not because it's going to kill any bear, because your pistols never get over 2,200 feet per second.
Yeah.
So you're not dealing with hydrostatic shock with a pistol bullet. So all you're trying to do is get the bear to change direction or stop its action of eating you.
Yeah.
So you don't need to practice your shooting that much. What you need to practice is the presentation of the pistol to the target. There is the days of you pointing your pistol out there and then finding your sight, then putting your sight on the bad thing, and then putting your finger on the trigger. You are a bear turd at that point, right?
Yeah.
So It's all in the presentation of the pistol, and be able to get your pistol with both hands. I keep talking to these bino harness companies, and I'm trying to get somebody, if somebody's listening out there, I need a holster on the right side of the bino harness, handle out. So the handle is out, so I can grab it with left hand, I can grab it with right hand, and I can actually present the pistol to the target. And that's the key. Presenting the pistol to the target. By the time you get the full extension, sight alignment, sight picture, and slack out of the trigger, because you've already made the decision to shoot this thing, right? So practicing the presentation of the pistol, wherever you pull it from, if you pull it from your ass crack or from your pack or whatever, if you're going to carry it on your pack, highly recommend you do a cross draw. Because if you carry it on this side, you can't get it with this hand without having to re-grip the pistol. You're not going to be able to re-grip it. The thing you just got hit by a Mack truck. If you're able to even keep hold of your pistol, cool for you, right?
Yeah.
So a lanyard system on your pistol is key as well.
So how would you carry it on your pack?
So if you carry it on your pack, you can just keep it on this side of the waist belt, cross draw, because then you can get it with both hands.
Gotcha.
If you limit it to whatever your strong side is, you don't know if you're going to be on your belly, on your back. Most people that keep it on their strong side can't get it out without having to re-grip the pistol. So you can do that on this side. If you have it behind your bino harness, make sure you wear your bino harness loose so that when you grab the pistol, you can rip the whole system around and pull it out of the holster. That's pretty loose, way looser than most people want to carry that. But otherwise, you have to get the pistol out and re-grip it. You won't have a chance to re-grip it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
What kind of holster do you like? Because mine's, and people hate them. You probably don't like it because you can't get it with both hands. I have the Serpa with the little tab, so it locks in there.
Sure.
Just because I always have one in the chamber and I'm putting my pack up and down. And I don't want it falling out.
Cool.
That's why I run it, but
Yeah.
I don't think I could. I'd have to try. I don't know if I could, if I wore it cross, how to.
You can, because you just hit it. You hit it with your thumb.
Okay.
I've done a lot.
Gotcha.
So you can hit that with your thumb and get it out this way, but just make sure you wear it as a cross draw and canted.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I got to reset mine up because I put it over there the other day, but
yeah. So bullet doesn't really matter. I actually carry target loads.
Nice.
Total metal jacket target loads, because I'm just trying to break bone. That's all I'm trying to do. If you go with the bare loads, like if you're shooting a Gen 4 and older Glock, you're not supposed to shoot cast bullets out of those.
Oh, yeah.
The rifling doesn't handle a cast bullet very well.
Yeah.
So, and plus, you're not looking for so much recoil that you need multiple rounds in their face
Right now.
to get them to change direction,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So whatever your pistol likes, shoot it. You don't
Nice.
need heavy recoil. Shoot practice loads. Cool.
Yeah.
You're not trying to kill the bear. You're probably not going to kill the bear with a pistol round.
Yeah.
You're just trying to get it to change direction. That's all you're trying to do, right?
Nice.
And buy yourself some time. So make sure you practice that presentation of the pistol to target. That's all in the online course as well. Sight alignment, sight picture, and slack out of the trigger by the time you get the full extension. You're probably going to go open loop on the trigger anyways. You don't need to practice punching the trigger. Sure, of course, make sure that you zero your pistol with closed loop trigger work, right? So you know where the pistol actually shoots without pre-ignition movements in it. But once you have that, it's way more important that you practice the presentation of the pistol to target than actually shooting. So,
Cool.
I mean, you talk to people that have fought four-legged or two-legged things with a pistol, and like none of the stuff that comes out in the bow hunter world even makes any sense. Like cops, if they can't get their pistol with both hands where they carry it, then they carry another pistol, right?
Yeah.
That they can get with their other hand. So, I mean, that only makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge bear spray fan because bear spray, number one, doesn't stop momentum. Like if a bear is charging you, actively charging, like if they're just sitting out there doing their thing, cool, spray him in the face. But if that bear goes away, he probably wasn't going to eat you anyways. But as far as a charging bear goes, I mean, what we used to do on the SWAT team is we used to fill a house with so much OC gas that it would come out the eaves. And then what did we do? We threw the dog in there because dogs are completely unaffected by oleoresin capsicum. OC spray does not affect dogs at all.
Crazy.
So I can't imagine it would affect a bear that much either. You could spray them with just about anything and they're not going to like it. Now, obviously, bear spray does work, yes. I don't know that it would work on a charging bear, and I don't want to find out.
Yeah.
So I just don't carry bear spray. I carry a pistol.
Nice.
So,
Cool.
and I will be able to explain myself if it comes to that.
For sure.
So
Nice.
there you go.
Start walking around in Shoto long enough, maybe you'll have to use it.
Yeah, you will, because there's
It's bad
there's
up
3
there.
bears right behind the hotel as we speak.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah, like I said last week, they killed one across the street from my house, a sow with cubs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did a grizzly bear flight up there with FWP, and I thought we were going to fly in the mountains, which I know they're down in Shoto and
Yeah.
off the front, but nope.
Yeah.
Just all over agriculture and
Mhm.
Shoto
Wow.
and Augusta. And
Oh yeah, they're thick.
I think you're safer up on the
I
mountain than
think
you
you
are
are too.
down,
I think
bird
you are
hunting
too.
off the
Wow.
front. Yeah.
It's wild because you turn that Fox Pro on coyote hunting, you don't know what's coming.
Oh,
I've called in
man.
4 grizzlies at once before. Oh, it's
That's
not
crazy,
good.
dude.
All juveniles, not
oh
good.
my gosh.
Yep.
And it's
Wow.
been like that for a while because we filmed a coyote project, and the government trapper for the front was
Mhm.
working the ranch we were on, coyote hunting, and he had trapped, I think his best one was he trapped 5 grizzly bears on one fence corner
Yeah.
in one night.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure they were,
When you get
most of them were running together or whatever.
yeah,
But like,
when you get a dead cow out there, man, it's
Wow.
like luckily the bears really don't see cattle as a food source yet. Of course, a few of them figure it out, and then they get trapped and relocated or whatever. But man, when there's a cow dead, man, you'll have a pile of bears on that
Wow.
thing. Yeah, it's pretty wild to watch through a thermal.
Oh,
Pretty
man.
wild. Pretty wild.
Crazy.
Yeah.
nice.
Well, cool, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah,
coming down
thanks,
doing the podcast.
Oh, you bet. Yeah,
Really
thanks for
appreciate
having
it, dude.
Yeah.
Appreciate all the information.
You bet.
Yep.
Thanks for having me.
There'll be more next time. So,
Yeah. All right,
thanks, dude.
brother. Be good.